What's up, everybody? It's Bryant, the Flowhawk. Today, I'm going to show you how to take a SharePoint list and get a URL that you can share with others that will take away the side navigation of the SharePoint list, the upper navigation of the SharePoint site, as well as any of the command bar buttons. That way, you can give them just the list information without worrying about them leaving the list to go navigate the other parts of your site. Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm here in my SharePoint list. Right, you'll notice I've created a site called Microsoft 365 Knowledge Base, and in this site, I have a list called the Knowledge Base list. There are questions, there are answers, there are resources, there are topic tags. And this is so that my colleagues have an FAQ or sort of like a wiki that they can search through and get answers to some of their more common questions. Well, I want to share this list with them, but I don't want to share it like this, right? I wouldn't want them to land at this list and then go exploring around the site or accidentally click into a different list. I also really don't want them to be creating new items, editing in grid view, sharing, exporting to Excel, creating Power Automate automations, or integrating with Power Apps or Power BI. Okay, I just want to remove all that. I want to give them the targeted experience of just being able to scroll this list. All right. So the first place we're going to start is removing any of the SharePoint wrapper that's around this list. So up in the URL, at the very end of it is where we can kind of add our parameters. You always add a parameter by starting with a question mark. All right. And in our case, the question mark, you could give it a view ID, but we're going to do env for environment equals embedded. And if I copy this URL, come to the new tab, paste it in, you'll see that I have now gotten like a full screen SharePoint list experience. This is perfect. This gives me the opportunity to share this list out, and everyone who clicks on the link to access the list does not really see the rest of my SharePoint site. They still have access to it, right? And they could modify this URL or they could navigate through SharePoint to get access to that site. But when they land here, it's not easy for them to now go back to the site and perhaps accidentally click on a different list. So first part of this, just add the env equals embedded tag at the end of the URL. That's awesome. Next piece is how do we remove these buttons here across the top? Microsoft introduced recently the ability to format the current view. So this is going to work on a view by view basis, okay? And we'll show how that works. I'm formatting now the all items view, and that's the view I'm going to share with my colleagues. I can come here now in advanced mode. I get a list of JSON characteristics for formatting this view, okay? And there's a very specific way to reference the command bar and all the controls here. I've brought up this documentation. If you search command bar customization syntax in Google, you'll find this. But it lists out every key or every control that can exist across the top of the list. Then it tells you what each of the properties mean, and it gives you a sample code, JSON code that you can paste in. So if I take that sample code, I come back here and paste that in here. That tells me, that we're going to hide the new button. We're going to put the edit in grid view, change the icon to an edit table. So let me preview this, right? And this new code now has changed that to be the primary button, the edit in table. And now we've given it a new icon, made it a button, changed the word to say quick edit. The share, we've removed the icon, right? So we put no icon name. That's just an example of how to do this. Now, there are so many controls here, right? So if we go back up to the list, these are all the different controls that can be across the top of those SharePoint lists. And so I have gone and taken every one of those control names and added to it the property hide is true. So if I come back here, let me now paste this in. All right, commands, highlight there. Okay, paste in. So now I have all of those different properties in here, and they're all set to be hidden. So hide is true for all of them. Okay, let me delete the extra comma here, and let me save it. And let's see this thing in action. Perfect. So now I've removed every option or button at the top of the screen here. And if I come back and I select, let's say, one of these, normally at the top, we'd see different commands appear for having selected one or more of these items. Now we don't see any of those commands. This is the targeted experience that we can now share with our colleagues. We've got the view name here, and we're adding in that embedded environment piece to it as well. So now anyone I give this link to who has access to the site will land in a very targeted experience like this one. And that's it. Thanks for watching.